What's going on, squad? It's your man Unspoken Reviews, back again with another video, and today we're going to be covering Batman the Caped Crusader, episode 5, The Stress of Her Regard. All right, guys, so it wasn't that I did not like this episode. I do think it was a bit of a minimal step up from episode 4. However, it wasn't amazing. There was some differences in this episode that I kind of liked seeing with the character. We know this is a Harley Quinn episode. I do know that the character already had a couple personality traits that I think that were going to be evident in this episode, but it was more about her. The things I do like, that Batman does have a little bit more relevance in this episode. He is a little bit more of the star of the episode. I'm kind of glad about that. It's something that I feel so far with the episodes I've been seeing, I've been kind of missing. I feel like episode 1 had a really strong Batman presence. Episode 2 had a little bit, and then it seems like Batman's presence kind of goes down a little bit throughout this series. It kind of feels like more of like a villain case study. Outside of that, I kind of thought it was a better episode. I do like the way the villain's abilities are more showcased here, more than what they are in previous ways we've seen Harley Quinn. All right, guys, so the episode does open with Batman stopping a bank robbery. He manages to foil it and manages to catch the guy that is responsible for robbing the bank. It's funny because he corners the guy, and the guy even says, "Hey, look, I'll split the money with you." Like, yeah, right, dude. Like, you just got caught by the Batman. And there is no information that you've heard of that shows you that Batman is in this for the money. But before Batman can pursue the guy and finish him, I think he already does have him handcuffed. He sees a man in Egyptian robes. He's kind of walking through the streets, through busy traffic, and Batman runs off into the street to pull him out of it. The guy does seem offended that he grabbed him, and you see the man's dressed up like an Egyptian pharaoh, and the way he's talking is like he's somewhat of an actual pharaoh. He's speaking in a certain type of dialect, and it's pretty interesting, but Batman manages to stop him and subdue him for the police. And we do see the man's name is Fletcher Deming, and it seems like Deming is a rich real estate agent who has, basically randomly given up everything that he's owned. And as far as what Alfred and Bruce knows, the guy's been very selfish. He has been very reluctant to give up the things that he wants. As a matter of fact, he's a bit greedy. It seems weird that he has now given up everything that he owns rather than keeping up with the personality that we know. So the episode does cut out after Batman does mention Arkham, and we do get a bit of a laughter. Now, I thought it was kind of funny that they put this in this episode. Maybe it was just me, but the screen goes black and you kind of hear like the laughter of the Joker a little bit. And for a minute, I thought that's what it was. I was kind of hoping it wasn't, if they were going to do the Joker. As far as what I've heard, the Joker is not supposed to be in this series, but I'll just have to wait as I go forward. But we do see that it is indeed a clown, and the clown's feet are strapped. I think it's called like a stocking or something like that, but his feet are basically trapped, and he's basically being tickled by someone unknown with a feather. And this kind of really got to me because, the dude is pretty much being tortured in this scene at this point in time, because at first you would think he's having, he's just laughing, but the more and more that continues coming from someone who's been tickled like that to the point where, you start crying tears, it can become painful at that point in time. Well, it seems that he eventually says that he'll give up everything he owns, kind of like that Deming. However, the voice that is over the intercom does not believe anything he's saying, and they continue on with his tickling torture. So we do cut to a diner with Barbara and Dr. Quinzel. And I like this scene because I like it when certain protagonists kind of speak from the position of what it is they're doing to affect the city, because Barbara is pretty much down and out. She's upset that the actions that she has been taking, that the police have been taking, has not yielded any kind of positive results to stop the crime wave that has gone on in Gotham City. I kind of like that when you see characters who are the heroes or protagonists really have these doubting moments that what they're doing is affecting any change. I really like that in this episode. So Renee Montoya does show up in this episode. She does come to Barbara because she's concerned about Gordon, worried that he's been pushing himself to the very edge, to basically make some type of results happen in the city and to solve as many cases as he can to make the difference and kind of show the mayor that he is trying to affect change in the city. However, Renee is worried that he's pushing himself hard, and so is Barbara. Renee asked Barbara if she could talk to Gordon and try to talk him down a little bit and tell him to take some time off. So during this time, we do get a another relationship. We did see that this relationship was kind of showing itself between Dr. Quinzel and Renee Montoya. And Quinzel decides that she's going to ask Renee on a date and that she'll set everything up. And, Renee is pretty receptive of it. She doesn't seem to have any issues with it. Like I said once before, I wasn't exactly happy about the relationship drama here in this episode. It doesn't bother me that it's a same-sex relationship, because I do know that both of these characters are, interested in, women. So it didn't surprise me. I just never seen these two together. It just kind of felt like something that was kind of woke that they put in it. It's not exactly a teardown for me. It wasn't like the centerpiece of the episode, which is something that I was happy about. So it doesn't bother me when it's not the centerpiece. If it's not the centerpiece, I'm okay with accepting it. So Batman does go to Fletcher Deming's house to try to figure out some information, to figure out why he might have went off the rails like this. When he does arrive, he does find the trap door, and he finds a small back room that's hidden, that has like a bunch of Egyptian artifacts that shows that Deming was really deep into Egyptian art of any kind. It seems like statues, the hieroglyphics on the walls, things like that. And he also finds a small checkbook that has multiple, checks that are written out to the same name, that is Dr. Harley Quinzel. And as he's finishing up looking through all this, a smoke grenade comes through, into the room, and he kind of just looks at it funny. And we find out that it's a group of cops that have cornered him in Deming's office. And, there's probably about maybe 6 or 7 of them, including Bullock and Flass. And, they tell him to come out with his hands up. And what I thought was so funny is that he just takes the smoke grenade and he just throws it back in the room, which I thought was so hilarious. And he's just slowly just taking out the cops silently as a mouse. No one can see where he's coming. Bullock goes into the room trying to find him, and each of the cops is just getting taken out one after another. And by the time the smoke clears, it's just Flass and Bullock that are awake. Everyone else is unconscious. And I thought it was just a real cool way of showing Batman, showing that kind of restraint, where he was not trying to take out the cops or even fight them. He had his own goals, and he was willing to just take them out of the way so he could achieve whatever goals that he was after. So we do cut back to Harley and Quinzel. She is having another therapy session with a Mr. Collins, who is, kind of opening up and, releasing a little bit of trauma, a little bit of mental stuff that he's going through with his family and issues he's going with his business. And, they finish up the therapy session, and he's talking about how he feels so much better getting these things off his chest. So Harley does kind of switch up a little bit. We see her change in demeanor, and she kind of calls Collins out and saying that she doesn't believe that they're finished yet, and there are a lot of issues that Collins has that needs to be sorted out. And she pushes a switch on her chair, and she straps him to it where he cannot, basically traps him to it, and he cannot get out. And she tells him that there's much more work to be done, and that Collins has now become her newest patient for further, study. And the thing I find very interesting is the fact that Bruce Wayne himself was in this very same situation. It kind of begs the question, what is it about Bruce that she didn't feel the need to put him in the same situation? I don't think Bruce at any point in time during his therapy with Quinzel came off as negative or selfish of any kind way. He seemed like he was very much selfless and not willing to just talk about his problems, which is something that Harley did say is something that is unusual. So we do finally get to see Harley in her complete attire. This is a new suit that I've seen her in. I've never actually seen her in this suit. It's kind of like a golden and black kind of suit. I don't know if it's brown and black. It looks more golden and black, but it's kind of a reminiscent type of the jester type of suit that you would see in certain medieval kingdom movies. And it kind of has like the same neck part that you would see Harley wear in other iterations of Harley Quinn, whether or not you're thinking of, the Batman animated series, the recent Gotham Knights video game that came out a little while ago. It seems that she still has that kind of outfit. She does come into this room that she calls the playpen, and we see that she has multiple people in her custody. She has, one patient that is forced to write constantly, and it seems like this is something that he has punished his son with once before, and he has been writing so many times that his hand pretty much can't go anymore. But I think she assigns him like 1,700 more times, because he, I think he tries to run up to the glass and attack her, and he gets electrocuted, and she says he's got like 1,700 more time to write. We have one other gentleman who's trying to find one faulty light bulb and a whole string of Christmas lights. I don't exactly know what that was about. And we do have one more that's, acting like he's a baby. He's on dressed up as a baby, and he's complaining that he doesn't want to eat his food. And I think it was so funny because now we switch to Collins, who is dressed like a bit of a king. I don't know what the meaning was behind that, having him dressed like that. But she, tells him that if he gives up everything, she'll release him. But Collins, of course, is not taking that. So what she does is she actually goes to the guy who's dressed as a baby, who's also known as Balski or Balowski, and gives him a chance to gain his dessert. And it's pretty interesting because she says in order to do that, has to basically torture Collins with a large hammer. And then we do get to see the trademark Harley Quinn hammer. You know, she does have it and she offers it to him. And I thought this was pretty interesting to see how Harley's abilities of torturing the human mind until it breaks into a position where the person is willing to do whatever it takes to make Harley happy. And I thought that was very interesting for the character. It kind of shows her abilities on a different level than what we have seen. I know we have seen Harley do this in different versions, but most times in some movies and in comic books, she just comes off as the crazy character who has guns or a hammer, and that's about it. It's really rare that we actually get to see her mess with people's minds to a point where they're doing exactly what she tells them to do. So as Batman and Alfred are doing some investigating, we do find out that this situation has been going on for the past 3 years, which I found was very interesting. You know, it seems that Alfred has stumbled upon a case of a gentleman who went through the very same thing that Fletcher went through. The funny thing is that Harley has been doing this for quite a few number of years. It's interesting to me that, you know, Batman did not pick up on this sooner, maybe because it was just something that was sporadic and it wasn't back to back to back the way it has been, the way the episode shows it has been in this episode. I'm not exactly sure. Batman does notice that there's one thing about the incident from 3 years ago, as well as Fletcher Deming, is that Harley Quinn was a psychiatrist for both of these gentlemen. And he decides that he's going to go into her office and check out and see what she has to offer, what she's keeping quiet. So at the same time, Barbara does go to Arkham. She does go meet up with Fletcher, and it seems Fletcher is still, he seems to be somewhat calm now. He's not still in that same place as it seems at first. However, when she does start to talk about Harley, he does seem to kind of change up in tone a little bit. He starts to talk like that pharaoh again. He starts giving off that Egyptian dialect of conversation that he has. And then when he hears Harley's name, it kind of changes him real quick. And you can tell that that was kind of like hearing her name was kind of like a code for him. So he does manage to break free from the security and Barbara, and he runs to the roof of the building with the attempt of committing suicide from jumping off the building. However, Barbara does manage to catch him. She does manage to stop him, and until the security shows up and they can manage to subdue him. And he tries to give Harley's name. However, he passes out from the drugs or the sedative. So Barbara does go talk to, So Barbara does confront Dr. Quinzel, and she asks her multiple questions about Fletcher Deming, who Quinn is pretty much right off the bat saying that she has no idea who that is and she's not familiar with that person. And she tries to quickly brush it off and just tries to ask questions about what she should do for Renee for the date. After this, Barbara does go talk to her dad, Jim Gordon, and she is trying to tell him that he should take some time off. And I did like this little scene between the father and daughter moment where, you know, Barbara's like, is it better to believe the lie than to find out the truth? If you knew the truth, would you pursue it? And I like that Jim tells her, you know, it's better than the alternative. And I like the idea that he's telling her, do what you know you're supposed to do is right. Don't worry about the feeling. Do what you know is right. And I like the back and forth between father and daughter. You know, Barbara does try to tell him to take a break a little bit, but Gordon refuses to do that. You know, he just realizes there's just so much work to be done that the other cops aren't doing. And he just wants, you know, to operate the cases so he can make a difference in the city. So a little later, Barbara does end up going to Dr. Quinzel's office. And as she walks in, she realizes the door is open. And as she goes in, she sees the office is trashed. It's kind of messed up. It's been ransacked and ran through. And she sees a quick silhouette of Batman's cape as it disappears around the corner, showing that he was the one that was in there searching through her office. And as she looks through it herself, she sees that he found something called an appointment book, and she goes through it and finds Fletcher Deming's name in an appointment and realizes that Harley hasn't actually been lying to her. She also finds out that there was another gentleman named Hastings that actually was another appointment that she had once before, and realizes that he's been missing for several months. So she does go to the house to try to speak to him and ask him what's been going on, but he's completely dismissing everything that she's saying and saying that, you know, he's going to contact the authorities or tell Dr. Quinn that she's been going through all her stuff, and completely dismisses her. So she apparently seems like she's leaving at first, but she pulls her car off to the side and decides to sneak and backtrack to the house to try to break in or at least see what's going on. And this is the point where we actually get Batman, who shows up, and it's the first time the two of them actually get a chance to talk And it's kind of real quick. You know how Batman is. He immediately tells her to leave and let him handle it. And, he disappears, and, she's not going anywhere. Of course, we all know that. But Batman does go inside the house. But at the same time as that happens, Hastings did end up contacting Quinzel and telling her. And of course, we do get the romance between the two of them. And she does tell Renee that she will see her later after she figure out what's going on. So she does leave, but Batman is already inside, and Quinzel shows up at the exact same time, switching into her suit, and we do get to see them confront each other for the first time. No epic battle scenes, no fight or anything like that, but she does kind of she does kind of bring up exactly what Batman does keep hidden the right way. She does kind of say that what makes you come out here and do exactly what you do every day. There must be something unsolved in your life that makes you want to go out and hunt down people like her. And it's a pretty cool thing to see that Harley can read Batman without exactly talking to him. It shows that psychiatrist experience really does shine through with her character, and she does kind of use that to her advantage more than actually fighting. So she does end up freeing all the people from the playpen. So we do get the fight scene between Batman and Quinn's patients, and it does seem like Batman is not really trying to take them out. He seems like he's just putting them down. He does realize that they're still, even though they are criminals in a sense, it's not necessarily their fault, given what Quinn has done to them. So like you see that he's just kind of pushing them down. He's dodging their attacks. At first, it doesn't seem like he's trying to hurt them. He seems like he's just trying to disable or stop them. And it kind of shows that Batman is mindful of the people that he's taking on. He's not just, taking out whoever comes his way. I actually like that he's a little bit more restrained than that. However, he does end up getting trapped by Quinzel, and she does set a timer and an explosive to destroy the mansion that they're in. So we do know Barbara did not leave. She actually ends up breaking into the mansion, and she finds Batman trapped inside, passed out from the gas, and she's trying to free him. And while she's trying to do that, Harley does notice her car as her and Hastings are leaving, and they do double back to try to get her out of there. I don't know exactly what happens to the rest of the patients. We don't really hear about that, but I'm kind of hoping that it wasn't anything too bad. Like I said, we don't see them anywhere. It's just her and Hastings in a car. I don't know if she sent them back home or if she sent them off to their death, which is something that she has done so far. We don't know. However, she does go back to try to get Barbara to come out, and Barbara refuses to leave him. It was very interesting at this point in time because it didn't seem that Barbara was putting two and two together. I don't know, maybe it was just me. She kind of just asked Harley what she's doing here. Barbara asked what she's doing here. And, she just decides to free Batman in order to get Barbara to leave. And it just seemed like it was just kind of random. I know that the two of them were somewhat friends, so she didn't want to lose her like that. So she tries to help Batman. However, Batman's cage does end up falling into the bay. So Harley and Barbara are trying to get out of the building. However, of course, the whole building is falling apart after the explosions. And we do get the scene where it kind of felt a little reminiscent of Batman Beyond, the movie. If you guys have actually seen it, The Return of the Joker, where, Barbara's hanging from a ledge and she's trying to hold on to Harley. It seemed like it kind of mirrored that moment where she actually was trying to save her, but Harley tells her to let her go, just to take care of Renee for her. And she just falls into, well, they actually both fall. However, Batman manages to save Barbara, while it does seem that Quinzel does fall to her death. I wasn't even worried that she died because, it's nothing but water below. I didn't even doubt that she survived that. As soon as she fell into the water, I was like, she's probably still alive. They're not going to kill off her character like that. This isn't, Firefly from a previous episode. This is more of a big name character. But, Batman does kind of come down on Barbara a little bit and telling her that she should have left and all that. And Barbara just immediately shuts him out. And Batman does apologize for that, realizing that the two of them did have a bit of a friendship, and he's gone before the police can arrive. So at the episode, I wasn't surprised. We do get Renee standing in front of the diner where she thought that Quinn was supposed to be coming. And she does get a phone call at the nearby payphone. And it is Quinzel. In fact, I knew she was alive. And she tells her that she's got to be out of town for a little bit. And that one day she will come back and look her up when she does return to the city. And that was the conclusion of the episode. All right, guys. So like I said, this episode wasn't terrible. It was a little bit of a step up in terms of the villain. I felt like this kind of gave Harley more than just the deranged character theme. I know that Harley does have the ability to get inside people's heads like that. I've seen it, like I said, in the Gotham Knights video game. but the way she's been used in, movies and some television shows and, some video games here and there is that she's just the insane character. Even in, Kill the Justice League, she seems like she's just a character that's just deranged, crazy, but willing to do whatever with a hammer and gun. But I like that they gave her a little bit more of an effective ability in this episode. It kind of creates a little bit more tension when you see what she's capable of. I like that they leaned more into her psychiatrist abilities a little bit, where she's able to read Batman or read people from a distance, know exactly what they're thinking, know how to approach the situation, how to get in people's heads the right way to get them to do exactly what she wants them to do. It just kind of sets Harley apart from being the average crazy girl that we see her in all the movies and television shows. I am glad that we got a little bit more of Batman in this episode. Like I said, the thing about this series that I haven't liked so far is it feels like a villain case study. It feels like we are getting these villains. The villains are just doing what we know the villains to do, and Batman is just kind of there to stop them. It kind of feels like Gotham, but just with a Batman. When we're watching Gotham, it seems like Gordon was just trying to help save the city. But now, it seems like this is Gotham as well, but with an actual Batman. I feel like the Batman animated series did such a great job of balancing both Batman and the villains that he's dealing with. We kind of get like a back and forth between characters. And I feel like this series isn't really doing that. Maybe I'm kind of alone in that. I'm kind of hoping that kind of changes in the future episodes. I'm not holding my breath though. It seems that what Prime Video is doing with this is not exactly textbook Batman. It seems like he's just kind of a guest in his own show. Maybe I'm wrong about that. You guys let me know down in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.